Her right after this break.
Silo.
Silo, everything that turns you on.
Now.
What are you doing, Stan?
I'm giving the dog bones.
No. Give him snacks that taste like real food. Like ribs, basted with real meat juices.
Yeah, but bones crunch like real steak bones.
Yeah, but ribs even looks like real food.
So does bones.
Let the dog decide.
Right.
Oh, what did I tell you? Ribs.
Bones.
Ribs and Bones brand dog snacks from Purina. Let your dog decide.
Soft, sexy, supple, sleek, all leather coats on sale this week, and jackets too, in green and blue, and gorgeous shades. You may want to. If you love leather, you must see the leather sale. Coat Gallery, Coat Gallery. There's so much style. Take this advice. Slip into leather at our sale price. Coat Gallery, Coat Gallery. You'll save so much. But please don't dally to Wynwood, Martin, Oxford Valley, or Shelton Head. We all agree you can't resist. Coat Gallery, Coat Gallery.
Soap fans meet their favorite stars in person tomorrow.
This morning, once again, AM Philadelphia goes to the front page. Detective Carol Keenan will tell you her reaction to her big win in court yesterday in her sexual discrimination suit. Meet the lawyer who fought for her in court, Richard Sprague, and the policemen who risked their careers by standing by her side. Policewoman Carol Keenan tells her story today.
We got a good one for you today. Good morning. We're live from City Line Avenue. I'm Wally Kennedy on this Thursday morning, and topping our headliners this morning, it seems that we created quite a stir yesterday when we interviewed the local casting agents for Rocky V. One of the agents, Tony Denizzo, told us about the 4 days of filming that will take place at the Civic Center in February. Vouchers that can be turned in for tickets to those events won't be available until next week sometime. Please don't call us. As soon as we know the details on when and where those vouchers will be available, we will let you know. In the meantime, please just wait patiently and don't call. In other news, Madonna will soon make her way to Moscow, well, at least her voice will. Starting next month, Soviet rock fans will be able to hear U.S. singing stars on USA Top 20, California-based syndicated show. The Chicago native who speaks Russian will host the radio show, and the debut is scheduled for February 9th. Rod Stewart is facing a lawsuit from a man who fractured a kneecap at a concert in Louisiana last April. Charles Falderman says he was injured when Stewart began kicking soccer balls into the audience, and the crowd reacted, in his words, like a herd of animals. The lawsuit says Falderman slipped on something on the floor. And in royal news, Fergie has dropped quite a bit on the British popularity polls. As her pregnancy progresses, Fergie placed 6th on the poll of royal favorites. She once was number 2. The reason? Britishers say that Fergie's royal workload is too light, as is her figure. She's 8 months pregnant but looks painfully thin. They feel her dieting is getting dangerous. And a continuing favorite among the English people, Princess Anne, says she wishes today's children had better role models. She says her travels with Save the Children Fund have heightened her concern. The princess says she doesn't think kids have very many people to look up to, and she blames that fact on the elder generation. Now, let's take a look at what's happening around the Delaware Valley in the next few days. Here is the weekend preview.
Legendary rock and roll comes to the Spectrum Friday and Sunday nights. The hard rock sensation AEROSMITH comes to town. The performance on Friday night is sold out, but a few tickets remain for Sunday night show. The group's been together since 1970, but their comeback album in 1987 broke all records. Opening up for AEROSMITH is New Jersey's own Skid Row. Once again, that's Friday and Sunday night at the Spectrum. Tickets remain for just Sunday's show. The Chestnut Cabaret features Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes on Saturday night. It's a chance for some warm memories of the Jersey Shore during the cold winter months. Actor Paul Sorvino, seen here in the film A Fine Mess, has a singing gig at the Showboat Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City this weekend. Sorvino has a part in the upcoming Dick Tracy movie, but for now, he'll be belting out Broadway show tunes, a few Neapolitan songs, and some standards Friday and Saturday at the Showboat.
Jesus, we got some cold starting there. You better make sure you take the orange juice.
For water buffs, the Philadelphia Boat Show opens on Saturday at the Philadelphia Civic Center. Hundreds of yachts, motorboats, runabouts, sailing ships will be on display for actual buyers and just dream boats. The show runs through January 28th.
The whole town is talking not only about what's going on this weekend, but also especially about a controversial lawsuit that found its finish yesterday in a Philadelphia courtroom. By the time it was all over, a Philadelphia jury of 5 men and 5 women agreed with Detective Carol Keenan and other people's assertion that she was the victim of sexual discrimination in a big, big way, to a total of $2.44 million. We are very pleased this morning to have with us people whose lives have been very much a matter of public record in the last couple of months because of the court case. Carol Keenan is with us this morning. She is still a Philadelphia detective. She's in South Detectives. She has certainly been the focus of a lot of attention the last couple of weeks. We'll talk to her about this very noteworthy verdict. Also with her, and let's applaud the guys who stand there and say, you know, sexual discrimination is not a woman's problem, it's a people problem. We are pleased to introduce to you Larry Gerard. He works for the state of Pennsylvania, and also Dan Rosenstein. He resigned because of the situation that he saw at the Philadelphia department. He too is employed by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. This case was brought to a very successful conclusion by certainly one of our town's most noted attorneys, Richard Sprague, who also joins us this morning. We welcome one and all. As a cop, you're certainly no stranger to court. You go in and you testify against the bad guys. Usually you're working for the city. Usually you're on their side. Usually you're helping them put the bad guys away and go into jail. Does that help you at all when it's your case, when it's your turn on the stand?
No, not at all. I was totally unprepared because it was a personal issue and meant so much to me and the people who supported me. All my training and experience kind of went out the window. It was just me talking to 10 people to try to explain to them what happened to me.
When they came in yesterday, and they came in a big way, is there a vindication for you as a person, for all of you, because you're all in this thing together? Is there a relief where you say, I'm not crazy, this really did happen? 5 good men and 5 good women heard the facts and they said, yes, it happened. Do you feel vindicated?
Most definitely. Most definitely. We're vindicated through the court, through the judge, through Mr. Sprague, through the entire process. We became vindicated for the first time.
If I was a fly on the wall last night when you were, I'm sure you probably had a celebration of some sort or another.
Hamburgers and French fries.
If I was a fly on the wall, what kind of conversation would I hear? Relief? Outrage? Anger? What?
All the above.
A little skepticism for what's coming ahead. I think Mr. Freeman's remark that will appeal this to infinity is only indicative of the pervasive attitude of the city and the powers that be.
Yeah, let me comment about that. And I first want to take my hat off to the clients that I represented here. Carol Keenan in standing up and fighting discrimination. She had been warned when she started the fight that you never know what hell is until you take on a commanding officer in the police department. And she had the courage to do it. But with her, men who had devoted their lives to working for the public in Philadelphia, a team of detectives, a sergeant who had solved serious cases that were the elite, people that could be in TV screens in terms of their activities for this city. They were willing to stand up and give up their careers, not for themselves, but to support a fellow officer. Detective Keenan was not being treated equally, and these men were willing to sacrifice their careers, which unfortunately happened. And my hat's off to them. It's too rare that you see people who are willing to stand up. People talk good games, but they don't stand up.
Okay, he did. Dan Rosenstein did make the statement, and it's true, that the city attorney said that they're going to, and this is his quote, they're going to appeal this to infinity.
Well, that's the other comment that I do want to make, and then let them talk to their heart's content. The people, the public Philadelphia ought to recognize that from the very beginning, Carol Keenan didn't want to be a heroine in a fight against discrimination. All Carol Keenan wanted to do was do her job as an effective detective, an effective police officer for the public. And when she first saw discrimination, she raised it within the department, not wanting to make waves. All superior officers had to do was to look into it. When the male detectives and the sergeants supported her, all superior officers had to do was look into it. When we took it to arbitration, and we won, and an arbitrator found the city wrong, and these people should be transferred and put back in homicide, all superior people in the police department and officials of Philadelphia had to do was look at the facts. It came out that not one official in this city, from the mayor on down, bothered to look into the facts of this case. When we get to court, we find, including the present commissioner, Williams, not one official was willing to say, hey, if an arbitrator found against us, maybe we ought to look into this and see what happened. Now we have a city solicitor, Mr. Freeman, who blithely says we'll appeal this to infinity, but not one responsible official from the mayor down now says, you know, a jury found against us. A judge found against us. An arbitrator found against us. Maybe we ought to look into the facts of this case because maybe we were wrong and maybe we ought to recognize.
Okay. Let me take it the next step then. Okay, if in fact you feel that there's a failure at the top of the city administration to deal with this problem, and you're right, I mean, they did say last night that they plan to appeal this to infinity. Is there somebody at the top, Willie Williams or Wilson Good, who says, fight it? Was there somebody at the top? Was it Willie Williams or Wilson Good who said, I don't care what she says, take her to court?
You know what I think you really have, and it permeates this whole city. You have an abdication responsibility. I don't even think you have officialdom that even makes the decision, fight it. They let their flunkies down below set things in motion, and they just ratify whatever they do. Yes, this case is costing the taxpayers of Philadelphia now a lot of money. Unfortunately, because of officialdom at the top. At the very beginning, all that Carol wanted was to be treated fairly. She wanted to go back and work that way. At the arbitration, all these people wanted to do was to be back in homicide.
And what do you say, and Mr. Sprague, and to all of you, what do you say to the people who say Philadelphia has got some real, serious, dramatic financial problems, as we all know? $2.44 million out of the trough is just something that the city can't endure. What are you going to do if they say, hey, we don't have the money?
Well, let me tell you, it's very easy. I'll take City Hall, I'll seize it, I'll sell it. The city of Philadelphia is going to have to pay the bill, unfortunately, for the derelictions of its officialdom at the top, and the people ought to start looking at its officialdom.
Let me do this. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk to Carol Keenan, her fellow officers who stood by her, and of course, Richard Sprague. We'll take your phone calls, and we'll also ask her, I think a lot of people wonder, why after all this does she continue to be a Philadelphia cop? Don't go away.
Please pass the all fruit.
Pass the Polana all fruit.
Pass the Polana all fruit.
Would you please pass the jelly?
Polana all fruit is real fruit, sweetened only with fruit juice and no added sugar. You'll call it delicious, you'll call it remarkable, but please don't dare call it jelly. Polana all fruit, the spreadable fruit.
As a general rule, kids will not eat what's good for them. The exception, cholesterol-free super fries from McCain.
Hey!
In the bag that opens and closes.
Okay, it's a new year, so let the good times roll, but not around your middle. Look, there's nothing pretty or she about exercise. It's hard work. Besides, when was the last time you got something for nothing? At Living Well Lady, you're not going to see Barbies and tights. You will see bodies in all shapes and sizes getting better. So even when life's been good, it's up to you to make sure you're really living well, because maybe the good life you're living is starting to show.
It's here, the National Brand Sale, with hundreds of big-name bargains, like Oreos, $1.99 with coupon, 20-ounce package, regular, fudge, and double stuff. Ragu, traditional, or fresh Italian sauce, 2 for $3, 28 to 30-ounce jar, any variety. Listerine or Listermint mouthwash, $3.69, 32-ounce bottle.
Come share the proud new feeling. It's super fresh.
Something's happening here on Channel 6.
This morning on AM Philadelphia, somebody certainly literally on the front page of both major newspapers in Philadelphia, Carol Keenan, along with her co-plaintiffs Larry Gerard and Dan Rosenstein, along with their attorney Richard Sprague, celebrating a big victory in court yesterday afternoon to the tune of $2.44 million. Let's attach some names to this. You came in under Rizzo.
Yeah, correct. He was the mayor when I came
He was the
up
mayor.
with this one.
You both worked under Rizzo, and I would be interested in getting your opinion. If Frank Rizzo were the mayor or Frank Rizzo were the police chief, would this have happened?
It might have happened at the level of the captain initially, but it would have never ended up in a federal courtroom. He'd have straightened this thing out as soon as he knew there was a problem there.
The entire situation never would have left 8th and Race.
Let me just add on to that a little further. It certainly wouldn't have happened because these people wouldn't have been in place to make these decisions. These were a bunch of ne'er-do-wells who finally got a chance to roar.
Under bad administration?
Absolutely.
Kevin Tucker?
Absolutely.
Bad?
Absolutely.
What about Mort Solomon?
Good man. Good man. Good administrator. You knew where you stood with Mr. Solomon.
Willie Williams?
Don't know him.
Carol?
Except, let me interject. I've got to point out, because it happened in the trial of this case, the defense brought in the present commissioner, Commissioner Williams, and had him testify that in his opinion there was no discrimination in this case. Then in cross-examination, I asked him, well, did you look over the incidents? Do you know what happened here? He admitted no. He didn't know one detail, hadn't looked into it. And we asked him, well, what do you base your opinion on? Oh, what my lawyer told me. If that's the kind of supervision and taking responsibility that exists today, they better take another look at the commissioner today. Now, I'm hoping Commissioner Williams has the integrity with the jury verdict to now take a look at the facts of this case.
Okay, and even at this late date, you would be receptive to that. If you go back to work today and Commissioner Williams is on the phone and says, Carol, come into my office, we need to talk, you would be open to that?
I've been receptive to that for the last 2.5 years. Anytime they wanted to talk to me, I would be happy to talk to them.
But that phone call never took place?
No.
Thanks for holding on. Speaking of phone calls, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning. I also work in one of the public service departments of the city.
Okay.
I'm one of 2 women. And I just need personally to applaud you. I am going through things that you could believe, yet you wouldn't believe. And I've been wanting to applaud you since the first time I heard this happen. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. The detectives, the men and women that you work with now, are they behind you, or do they feel a certain political pressure to, are you kind of ostracized?
Well, the detectives I work with now kind of did what I wish the administration would have done. When I first came there, they were leery because all they knew was the headlines. They got to know me. They got to learn different facts of what happened in the case, and they're behind me. They've been very supportive.
Okay. Thanks for holding on. You're on the air. Go ahead, please. You're on the air.
With the present city crisis and the budget crunches that we're having with cutbacks in AIDS programs and homeless thing, I wonder how these people feel about taking the money from the city. I mean, they won their case. They got their point across. How they feel about taking the money.
Okay, to all 3 of you, because all 3 of you won.
The jury said that's what we were entitled to, and you know, no one knows what we went through the last 2.5 years and what happened to everybody's lives as a result of this.
To this, okay, but everybody's, I think his question is valid. Everybody's paying through the nose in taxes, property tax, wage tax, all this other stuff. To that person who says, oh, God, and now the city, because of whatever, incompetent management or whatever, we got to pay an extra $2.44 million. What did you go through? where is...
Well, first of all, I'm outraged as a taxpayer. I'm outraged that we got this money, because we didn't have to. This could have been stopped before it cost us all this money, before we dedicated 2.5 years of our lives. This could have been stopped without any cost.
Is there a part of your psyche, though, that says when the city says, hey, we're going to appeal this to infinity, is there a part of your psyche that says, oh, God, no, enough. Enough, we've made our point, leave it go?
There's a part of it that says that, but there's also a part of it that says, not only is it enough, but bring on the best you have. You haven't beat us yet with your tactics. You're not going to beat us
But
again.
there's another part of it as well. The biggest part of this jury verdict was punitive damages. Punitive damages means exactly what it sounds like. The jury determined that by the conduct of the city officialdom here, they had to be punished. They had to be taught a lesson, not just for these plaintiffs, but they had to be taught a lesson for the future, for how they treat people in the future. And you can't let them get away with that. And that's a big important part of this. It's a shame that the taxpayers can't make the city officials personally responsible.
What we'll do is we'll take a break. We'll come back, we'll wrap things up with Carol Keenan, her fellow officers who stood by her during the trial, and also her attorney, Richard Sprague, plus more of your phone calls. Don't go away.
I'm Mario Perillo at Perillo Tour Headquarters. I've sent over 1 million people on vacation in the past half-century. Let me prove to you how my lifetime of experience can give you deluxe vacations at first-class prices. If you fancy Italy, Hawaii, St. Martin, the Bahamas, or Caribbean cruising, just get your hands on my free brochures before you do a thing. You know I wrote every word, so call 1-800-255-5000 right now.
Take a new look.
Acme celebrates its 99th year
Take a new look.
with a 99-cent anniversary sale. For instance, Summer-made butter, 1 pound, 99 cents with coupon. Acme orange juice, 64-ounce carton, 99 cents with coupon. And for just $3.99, get extra strength Tylenol.
Oh, take a new look. It's a real surprise. Take a new look and believe your eyes. Take a new look at an old friend, Acme.
It's a straight road to Marshall's from my house. Everybody loves a bargain. And it doesn't make sense for somebody to shop anywhere else. Snow won't keep me away from Marshall's, nor will rain.
Famous Maker winter coats in pure wool and wool blends, designed to sell in department stores for $150 to $260, have just arrived at Marshall's for an incredible price, just $59.99.
I can't believe it.
Believe it, Marshall's, the first name and brand names for less.
Redford.
I don't want to be no story.
Vonda.
Why do you think he did it?
He's just a cowboy. Sometimes he loses the best part of himself.
What is the best part of himself?
Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys.
You know you're going to screw up your whole life?
I'm trying to unscrew it, lady.
Robert Redford. Jane Fonda. The Electric Horseman.
Sunday night at 11:30 on Channel 6.
Are you pregnant? Call WIC, area code 215-978-6100.
Okay, somebody called and I think asked a question that a lot of people wonder about. If Philadelphia is strapped for cash, $2.44 million for these plaintiffs. There's one point that needs to be made, however. That's $2.44 million plus attorney's fees. That's the way the law reads, correct?
That's right. Under the federal civil rights law, the city, having lost this case, now will be responsible for my legal fees and the expenses of this case, which obviously adds to the $2.4 million in a substantial amount.
If you had to guess, what would they be?
We haven't figured it out. My guess is probably about $1 million.
So you're talking about a total outlay of $3.5 million.
That's right. And keep in mind that when the city solicitor says we're going to appeal this to infinity, he's doing it at the taxpayer's expense. He ordered daily notes of testimony. The city owes the court stenographers $20,000, which they haven't even paid yet.
Could Wilson Good pick up the phone and settle this thing all today? Could the mayor or the police commissioner say, enough, drop it, they won, that's it?
Absolutely, and that's the whole point. They could have done it at the very beginning before there were any damages, before there was any attempt to get a collection in terms of what these individuals suffered. At the very beginning, top officials of this city, from the mayor down, could have said, look into it, and if Carol Keenan has been discriminated against, correct it. And it wouldn't have cost the city one penny.
Okay, thank you for holding. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello. I want to congratulate Carol and the rest of the police department that won this case here. I was defended against the city, and I won a lawsuit. And the thing is that my brother's a detective that testified for me against the police because I had a case against the police, and I won my case. He was intimidated. They put cheese in his locker. They threw cheese on his desk when he was doing paperwork. They threw paperwork away. And I want you to look forward that you're going to have this in future with your police department business.
That's a good question. You know, you won, but did you? Why are you still a cop? These two gentlemen saw fit to leave. Why are you still a cop?
I'm still a cop because of these two gentlemen and the other two gentlemen who aren't here today. That's the only reason I'm still a cop.
Do you want your job in homicide back?
That's a question Mr. Sprague's going to have to address as far as the climate right now, what it would be to go back to homicide. There's still people in homicide who perjured themselves, and it was proven in court. What would happen?
You know, in that last point, you have to understand, too, that in this case, the city, in trying to defend, put on witnesses who were proven to be liars, people from the police department. There's a motion right now in the federal court for the testimony of one of the people to be referred to the U.S. Attorney for perjury prosecution. That's a difficult setup for Carol to go back and work with.
Do you think you're going to see that money?
The answer is yes. I'll tell you they're going to see it.
Okay. Richard Sprague, no shy violent here, boy, I'll tell you. He's the attorney who successfully argued this case in front of a court. To Carol Keenan, also Larry Gerard, and Dan Rosenstein. Our thanks for being with us this morning on AM Philadelphia, and congratulations on your victory. Stay with us as AM Philadelphia continues. Don't go away.
Why is Wonder Light America's favorite light bread?
Wonder Light has less calories. Wonder Light has more fiber. Less calories. More fiber.
That's right. Wonder Light has only 40 calories a slice and has always had more fiber than even ordinary whole wheat bread. But ladies, come on. Why do you really love Wonder Light?
It tastes great. And it has less calories.
More fiber.
Less calories.
More fiber.
Less calories.
More fiber.
Can't believe I got arrested. You can't. We got to get you to a lawyer right away. What for? Look, you don't have all the answers. You're calling Jacoby and Myers. Just talk. You have nothing to lose. On the other hand, if you mess this up, you got a lot to lose.
Don't make a bad mistake worse. If you've been arrested, talk to a criminal lawyer before you go to court. Jacoby and Myers will be on your side all the way at a fee you can afford. We've been on your side since